Hello, welcome back to the Nothing But Bricks podcast. This is probably gonna be just a bit of a random ramble. Just things I've been thinking about, things I've been up to in terms of the channel and animation. A few things have changed, I suppose, since the previous podcast, so I just thought I'd go over a few things. But yeah, this will probably just turn into a bit of a ramble, and we'll see where it takes us, I guess. So to start off, thanks for the response on the previous podcast. That the last episode I did was much more polished than this one probably will be, because I spent a lot of time planning out the segments and just spent a lot of time recording each segment. Each segment took a long time to record because I had to wait for gaps in between for the opportunity to come for me to be able to record, because my voice gets very messed up very quickly nowadays. It's just an energy thing. If you've been listening to previous episodes, you would know that it's because of my chronic fatigue syndrome, which I'll probably get into a bit as well. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the fact that I've been getting back into stop motion a little bit. You might have seen on the channel that I posted a 3-second walk cycle test. I also have been posting a fair bit to Instagram lately of just out of socket poses, things like that. But yeah, I have a new sig fig too, which is exciting. I went to the minifigs.me website back in November and kind of got it as a Christmas present for myself, I guess, and got a custom printed piece of the NBB, the Nothing But Bricks podcast art, I guess you could call it. The podcast logo. I also got the Kermit the Frog minifigure, which was pretty cool because I have an idea for an animation that I want to do with the Kermit the Frog minifigure. But yeah, new sig fig. I was kind of worried about doing it because I knew that I had the one there that I would have used so frequently in videos and, well, in podcasts. I have the picture of the sig fig on the screen the whole time, and it might just be a bit confusing that I've suddenly changed it, so I was kind of worried about updating it, but I'm really happy with how the new sig fig looks. And this isn't a brand deal for minifigs.me. I just really like their products and their website, and they did a really great job with the printing. It's amazing. You could probably see the new sig fig on screen now. I was thinking of doing an animation where like the new sig fig fights the old sig fig as kind of a symbolic way of saying I have a new sig fig. I don't know. Then I realized my limitations with animation, which I'll get into in a second, have become a bit more scarce, I suppose. Like, for example, I was thinking to myself, it is the 9th of January as I'm recording this, but thac just ended. The winners haven't been announced yet, but the actual event itself and the opportunity window to animate has ended. I guess it ended yesterday, technically. Yeah, I thought that I might give that a go, and then I realized after doing I only did maybe a walk cycle and then half a walk cycle, and realized that I'm not really able to do much animation. Like, I'm only really able to do the short form animation tests, like I've been saying before, which is what I expected to be able to do. Like, I don't think I'm, like, to put it this way, I would have had a better setup before, where I had my desk and I had my lamp and I had my laptop and my DSLR. But I guess now it's back to basics, which is also the title of this podcast, because I thought that was kind of important to mention. So keep that in mind when you're watching any tests that I do, but also constructive criticism is totally welcomed as well. Shout out Cryptic Studios, because I was really pleased to see his feedback on one of my animations. Well, the walk cycle I was talking about that I posted, he gave me some cool tips on how to improve, and I actually wasn't sure which side the arms were supposed to go, and he specifically mentioned they're meant to be opposite the legs, all that kind of stuff. So just technical stuff that I really want to improve upon. And then I realized as well, because I have these limitations of only being able to do a small walk cycle once a week, or however frequent it may be that I'd be able to do an animation, I should probably try and perfect the walk cycle. So that's my goal at the moment, to try and be very good at doing walk cycles. So far, it's in the early stages, so if you go and look at the walk cycle test I've posted, I'll probably be posting more in the future, so I apologize if it's just spam of walk cycle after walk cycle, but maybe I'll do like a compilation of over time. This is how they improved over time. This is all of them together, and I won't keep posting them all at once, like right after I've made them, because that might get a bit too spammy. But I don't know, it might be funny to just have like 60 walk cycles posted one after the other. But nah, I probably won't do that. Just to perfect the walk cycle is my goal at the moment, and if I can do that, then I am happy, because animation is all about, well, I guess it's previously it would have been about me pushing the boundaries of what I thought was possible. And right now I know what's possible, so I need to stick within those boundaries, and from there I can make an informed decision on how I want the animation to go. Like, for example, me figuring out that my limitation is doing maybe 3-second long animations, and from there realizing that within that limitation I can only do walk cycles or improve upon them. So for now I'm going to be doing the best walk cycles I can possibly be doing, because that's all I can be doing. But to be honest, even though I can only do short form content like that, it's still, the feeling that I get from doing animation is so cathartic and therapeutic. I think the fact that I was just not able to physically get out of bed and do it for so long. I mean, I'm still not able to get out of bed, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of bedbound, but that's why like I was saying before, my setup would have been different, because I would have had my desk and my laptop and my DSLR, but now it's kind of back to basics, which I got off topic there, like I was saying, it is a ramble podcast, so bear with me. Getting back to that, my setup has definitely changed. I, over the Christmas period, bought some equipment so that I can animate from bed, which is basically just a handheld mini tripod that can fit on a little table, the sig fig, a few accessories, like Lego accessories like lightsabers, swords, a microphone, which is pretty cool, because then I can do a new little podcast image that I can have on screen with the sig fig. So let me know what you think of that new image compared to the old one. I think it's an improvement anyway. But yeah, just my setup has changed, my limitations have changed, but getting to actually animate again, it just brought back such an amazing catharsis, I guess you could say. Just this uplifting, like I'm in the zone of creating something that I really enjoy creating, and I'm finally back to doing that. It was just yeah, I can't really describe it more than that. It was just great to be able to actually animate again. And I don't know if I know I mentioned before about the illness, but I don't know how much I would have given away about the illness. Like, I definitely wouldn't have said that I'm currently bedbound, but I definitely gave away the fact that I do have an illness at the moment that's preventing me from break filming. But so it definitely wasn't a conscious choice to not be break filming. Like, if I could, I'd be doing it every day, which is kind of the heartbreaking thing too, because realizing how much enjoyment I can get out of just doing a walk cycle really made me think about how much I missed brick filming, and just how much it also kind of sparked that like creative side of my brain again, I guess. Like, I had a script that I had written and forgot about, and then I remembered the script and thought, oh, for episode 2 I could do all these cool things, and it just kind of sparked my creative side a little bit more. And I guess that's maybe why I ended up recording this podcast too, is because before I would have been more, I guess, just keep everything as professional as possible, but the nature of things at the moment is I can't really do that because of my physical limitations. So why not just do a podcast as is within the limitations? Like, I'm able to do the walk cycle within the limitations, so why not do a ramble podcast within my limitations? Like, going back to the setup thing, before I had a better setup where I had the blue snowball microphone, and then towards the end of me being out of bed and being able to do podcasts with guests and things, I had a much better microphone. And then I still have it, but I can't use it at the moment. Then I just I'm recording this now on my phone. I know the audio quality is much better with the microphones. Like, if you go back to, I think it's episode 16 of this podcast, I talk at the start for like 3 minutes about minifigs.me, which I was talking about earlier, and reviewing their minifigs, and that was kind of like a sponsorship type thing. But that was recorded with the new microphone, and then the rest of the podcast was recorded with my phone. So you can see the audio quality drop all of a sudden, and that was because those 2 segments were actually recorded several months apart from each other, and you can hear my voice, the hoarseness change as well. Like, in the I guess it's kind of a fortunate thing though that for the brand deal, not really a brand deal, but for the review, I was able to sound my best physically, and you wouldn't have been able to hear it in my voice that I wasn't well, but it was my health was starting to decline at that stage, but it wasn't noticeable. But then when I recorded the rest of the episode, you could tell, and you can tell right now by hearing my voice, I'm sure. But at this stage, it's why wait until however long from now when my voice is not all raspy and hoarse and sounding sick to record a podcast like that. It's gonna make my voice more hoarse after finishing this recording, but at the same time, I can't just let having a hoarse voice or a crackly voice get in the way of me actually recording something and making something that I'm passionate about, because at the end of the day, that's what's important to me and my mental health and mental well-being in general. But yeah, I guess as well, during thac, I I thought I might give it a go, and then when thac came around, I was feeling quite unwell. So I saw that Edbound was live, showing his process of him animating his thac video. And I just thought, this makes me feel like I can still be a part of this event without actually having to physically strain myself to make something that probably wouldn't be very good anyway, that I wouldn't be happy with, that wouldn't get any awards or any attention anyway, and it would just make my physical health worse. So I put my physical health before the content, and that just meant that I was able to enjoy the event from a viewer's perspective. And thank you to Edbound for streaming for so long and streaming the whole process, because that for me was just, even watching someone as skillful as Edbound make an animation, and he was also doing a walk cycle too, so I thought, oh, I can take some notes on this, mental notes on like how to do a good walk cycle. But yeah, I guess just, it was amazing that I was still able to feel like I was a part of it, even though I couldn't partake in it physically, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I still enjoyed thac, even though I wasn't able to do it myself, if that makes sense. And before that wouldn't have been the case. I would have been a bit bitter about the fact that I wouldn't have been able to physically participate, so I would have been downplaying it in my head, which was just a reflection of my mental health at the time. But now I'm in a better place mentally, I feel like, and I was able to view it from, I'm actually happy that I'm able to even be a part of this. Even as a viewer, like, I'm still able to watch this and enjoy it and get that same kind of feeling, a similar feeling. Nothing beats the feeling of animating with Lego minifigures by yourself, but watching someone animate and go through the same process and, talk about it and be engaged with the audience at the same time, it's just, I don't know, it really helped me, I guess, get over the fact that I wasn't able to participate this year. So thank you, Edbound. And I know Mind Game Studios would normally do the same thing every year, but I think he's a judge this year, so he didn't do it, but that's alright. I mean, being a judge is pretty cool too, so fair play, Mind Game. But yeah, it was crazy how amazing it was to just see the community come together, and the brick filming community come together, and just how many people were enthusiastic about it. And it just made me feel like how I felt a while back when I started this podcast. Even though I'm not able to interview anyone or get out of bed, like I was saying, it still gave me hope, I guess, which sounds cheesy, but just seeing that there are still people out there who can make videos, and I'm able to start making some of my own now. I guess that, it just really was an amazing thing. And I guess to talk a bit more about the whole mental state that I was in and the mental shift that I experienced, I just, full disclosure, I'm not still in I'm not in like peak mental health shape or whatever you'd call it. I'm just in a better place than I was. Yeah, a year ago I would have been, because I wasn't physically able to animate, seeing everyone put out their animations made me a little bit jealous, I'll be honest. It made me resent things a lot more, and it didn't, I couldn't appreciate other people's work as much because I was so focused on the fact that I couldn't create myself. So it was just kind of, it's definitely, I'm doing better with that now because I don't know if it's because I'm able to make videos and things now a little bit myself, or if I'm just able to find the positive side of things. I was definitely more pessimistic as one is when they're in a darker mental space, headspace. Yeah, this did turn into a bit of a ramble, didn't it? Yeah, I guess I'll keep it going because I really am enjoying talking about this, and I feel like it's an important thing to talk about. You know, mental health, and not only that, but just explaining where I was coming from a perspective of someone who wanted to create but was literally physically forced not to by my body and my illness. You know, I was talking in the last episode a little bit about how my illness, it's a physical illness and it can cause, not physically, but emotionally, you're gonna end up feeling down because of it. Like there's just no way around that. That's just how it is. It's part of being human, and having this illness is just, it's part and parcel. It's being mentally in a darker place than you would normally be is part of it. It's not caused physically by it. Like before, for example, I used the analogy of the broken leg. Like someone with a broken leg, they'd be upset that their leg is broken, but it's not the broken leg that's causing them to be upset physically. It's an emotional response as a result of a physical event occurring. So it's the same thing with the illness, and at the same time you're grieving for constant missed opportunities because you physically can't grasp them. Like, for example, I'm bedbound, like I've said a few times now, and seeing these opportunities pass me by, like thac and things like just filmmaking opportunities that I'd see, like friends of friends are making such and such a short film, do you want to be a part of it? And like, not asking me directly, but asking their followers, and I was thinking like that would be a cool thing to be a part of, but I can't do that right now. The only real reference I have for learning filmmaking now is through watching other people make films online, which I guess is going back to why the Edbound's stream was so helpful for me, was because it wasn't just, it was mainly the filmmaking aspect of things, and the community coming together and making just brick filming, and it was really cool. And seeing so many other people so passionate about it as well in the live chat, and it's just really cool. That's the feeling of community that I am always looking for in the brick filming community, and it always delivers that feeling, and it's amazing. And that's why I started this podcast too. It's, you know, to bring more eyes into what the community is actually like, because the community is so amazing, and they're such a nice, it's just such a nice space to be in compared to other toxic online communities. And obviously there's going to be the odd toxic side of things, but for the most part I think the brick filming community is probably one of the nicest communities that you can be a part of online. And I don't say that lightly, you know. Everyone's so respectful there. Again, you're gonna have the few oddballs, but everyone is just so nice to each other, and what I took away from specifically like me and Cryptic Studios having that little interaction, it made me just think like everyone wants to see everyone improve and everyone wants to help everyone, and I think that's just such a nice thing. And I guess that's where the word community comes from too, because it's not to just like explain what a community is, but I think people can forget that that's, some communities can call themselves communities and then end up being quite toxic, whereas the brick film community is still very much that, a community of people that genuinely care and want to see each other succeed and help each other in very respectful and kind ways, and you just come away from every interaction just with a positive outlook on things. And I think the fact that I wasn't posting meant that I also wasn't able to engage in the brick filming with the brick filming community as much. I could have been more active on Discord. I did try that, and then I just wasn't able for it. I wasn't really able to actively engage with the brick filming community and see why I joined it in the first place, because I wasn't able to make videos. I wasn't able to talk to many people in the community without feeling a sense of shame, even of I shouldn't be here, I don't belong here because I haven't made a video in a year or 6 months or whatever, which obviously now looking back is ridiculous, because anyone who's made a brick film understands how long it takes. And at the same time, like, there are people probably working on brick films now who haven't posted in 6 months and they're still active in the community, and that's totally cool and fine. So I don't know why I was in my head about it so much, but seeing the familiar faces and everything, getting to interact with them again, and just seeing the positive response from the last podcast, it's just the beginning of a new era for me, where I'm gonna just try and perfect the walk cycle. So I'll talk probably a bit more in the future on the podcast about how that's going, give some updates on what I've learned about walk cycles, if anyone's interested in that. I think that would be pretty fun. And it's kind of just like it'll hopefully turn into like a running gag or something, I don't know. I'm excited though about that. But also another thing I wanted to talk about, I got a new lamp, because like I was saying, I bought new items so that I could brick film from bed, because I am bedbound, like I said many times already. But yeah, one of the items was a new lamp, but it's no ordinary lamp. I'll leave the link to it in the description because it's amazing, but especially for brick filming, I think a lot of people would find it useful. But if you think of like the bar lights that would be on the ceiling in schools, I don't know if all schools would have them. It's like that, except it's not fluorescent. You can change the settings to be warm or to be more blue light central, so you can have like warm lighting or soft, like it makes the lighting softer. You can dim the light to be as dim as you want, which is good for me because I have sensitivity to light. That's part of my illness. So that was also another reason why I physically couldn't brick film, was because I couldn't physically have the light on to do it. Like right now I'm recording this in a dark room because that's just the environment that I need. But this light in particular is dimmable to the point where I can tolerate it for a certain amount of time being on and get a brick film done. I say brick film, but I mean animation test, like I mentioned before. So I'm still learning, I guess, my limitations and what I'm capable of doing right now, which is a scary thing, but it's also a kind of a new frontier, I guess, which is exciting. So there are very much mixed feelings about it, but I just want to be open and honest about the fact that that is the case right now, and I'm not just one of those people that, like, I didn't just give up on brick filming. I physically couldn't do it, and it was heartbreaking for a very long time, and it still is heartbreaking to think I could be 2 years further along than I am right now in terms of skill sets and experience if I didn't get this illness. But all the what ifs are not gonna help your mental health with this illness. That's just what I've learned. Back to the lamp. It's just so handy because I found that I don't really need a backlight, or I don't need 3 lights, because it's just that one light does everything that I needed to do. And I've talked before on this podcast about how in my previous setup I only had one lamp as well, which would have cast quite harsh shadows. Like, if you go back to my long, lengthy brick films, or any brick film that isn't the walk cycle test, you'll see that the lighting's quite harsh in terms of shadows and things like that, because I couldn't really diffuse it, and I just, which was fine. Like, I was still learning at that stage and didn't realize, I guess I knew that that was an option, but I didn't want to really get into that because I was so focused on getting the project done and complete. But I learned as I would have gone on, but I wouldn't have taken a step back and seen it from someone else's perspective and gone, hang on, this light needs to be diffused, this one aspect needs to be fixed. So that's why I'm kind of excited too about perfecting the walk cycle, is that I can do all that now, because all I can do is focus on this one thing and focus on how to perfect it. And I think it would be kind of funny too, to in a future brick film, if like the walk cycle is just perfect and then everything else is just cobbled together, because I'd spend so much time on just the walk cycle. The skills that I learned from doing the walk cycle might also leak into brick filming as a whole and filmmaking as a whole. That was another thing too, was seeing Ed Bound's stream the other day. It just reminded me of my love for filmmaking too, and as he went through the process, he described what he was doing and why he did it. It was amazing because I'm big into filmmaking and camera angles, cinematography, all that kind of stuff. I'm really intrigued by, color correction, things like that. So seeing someone apply filmmaking techniques to brick filming in real time and describing it and saying, this is why I'm doing this is why I'm doing that, it was also me taking a mental note of, okay, I can use this in the future. And it's fascinating. And I also really enjoy watching forest fires animation streams too, because it's the same kind of stuff. It's combining filmmaking techniques with brick filming techniques, and whenever I can catch his streams, I try to, but I don't that often anymore. But I do try and catch them. But when I do, it's really amazing, because it's seeing someone who's mastered something, spent thousands of hours doing it, and I'm a bit of a novice, still technically a novice, I would say. I'm kind of back to square one, back to basics, as the title suggests. But yeah, it's still, it's just cool to see that people that skillful would share their talents. And it goes back to that thing of everyone wanting to see everyone succeed. It's the big brick filmers, even if they have loads of followers and success and they're really amazing at what they do, they still want to help the community and show people this is how you do this, and responding to live chat questions and helping people out. That's what, for me, that's what the brick filming community is at its core. It's just generosity, which sounds super cheesy, I know, but it's all right. We don't judge in the brick filming community mostly, so so it should be fine. I feel like the more bad energy you project outwards, the more that's gonna come back to bite you. So yeah, I got surprisingly honest there. I didn't think I'd talk about such deep stuff, but there you go. That was an interesting ramble, for sure. If you enjoyed it, let me know. I might do more of these. Constructive criticism is another thing I wanted to touch on, but I guess to close this out, I might as well talk about it. I think I did talk about it a little bit already in this podcast, but I always welcome constructive criticism because I want to be the best version of myself that I can be, but I'm not saying leave hate comments. If you're feeling negative emotions and you project that through a negative comment, you're just going to get more negative emotions thrown back at you. So it's a bad negative cycle that I encourage people not to fall into. And that's easy for me to say. I just encourage people to think about the consequences of what they're gonna say in negative comments, and that there are real people behind the other screens on the other side of the world, or whoever you're talking to. It's you put negative energy out, you're gonna get negative energy back. That's just how it is, in my opinion. So yeah, I know this wasn't. It was loosely talking about brick filming, I suppose, but I guess it was just a ramble vent type podcast. But at least I'll have something to put out, and it's stuff that I genuinely enjoyed talking about, and stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I'm not sure how much of it I'm gonna keep in, how much of it I should cut out, because it's a brick filming podcast, and I want to keep it it's a brick filming and Lego podcast, so I want to keep it about those things if I can. But sometimes, ramble podcasts may happen, and I just might talk about stuff. I don't know. It's a creative outlet like this is. I guess doing that brick film made me realize. Doing that animation made me realize, creative outlets are important, and this is one of those things. This is my creative outlet in a sense, and getting to talk about things like this is helpful. I hope it helped someone listening. I don't know if it did, because what do I know? I'm just someone rambling. But let me know what you thought in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend about the podcast. Try and help out a small independent brick filmer who's getting back into brick filming piece by piece. Excuse the pun. Yeah, I'm excited for what the future may hold, and I hope you all have had a good Christmas if you celebrate it, a good New Year, and a good 2023 filled with enjoyable moments and positivity. And yeah, see ya.